I,
We're in a really tough situation. We're here at Coffee Pot Landing today, sitting with the river, which we do pretty regular these days. We're watching as the state of Minnesota appears to collude with Enbridge to force Minnesotans to endure the installation of a tar sands pipeline across our state for no good reason. We've shown very recently, that Enbridge lied during their testimony, saying that they needed more than the limited capacity of 2.4 million barrels per day that they could carry with their current mainline system through Minnesota. And we found out recently through an Honor the Earth filing that, in fact, during testimony in 2017, they were already pumping more than that every single day. They've increased. They can now pump 2.9 million barrels per day, and we haven't even added a new Line 3 yet. We didn't have to dig into the soil at all. We didn't have to disturb the Mississippi River in one or even two locations, as Enbridge plans to do. This is one of the first places that would be affected if we had a spill in LaSalle Valley, which Paul Stolen, retired DNR, has said is the absolute worst place to put a tar sands pipeline. We've done everything we can. We've written letters. We've been in meetings. We've sat through countless hearings. And now we're begging for our lives. Literally, begging for our lives. We're watching as COVID explodes in Minnesota. We're now losing 1.5 Minnesotans per hour in the last 7 days. That's up. Just a few days ago, we were at 1.2 Minnesotans per hour. This pipeline is totally unnecessary. There's no need for tar sands to be removed from the earth. There is no need to kill any more natural infrastructure, which cleans the water and the air that every human being and every being on this earth depends on. We've written letters to the commissioners. We've sat in a few meetings with them. They occasionally grant us an audience. I think we've had 2 audiences. Enbridge, meanwhile, has been meeting weekly, if not more often. The collusion that we've seen throughout Minnesota agencies has become more and more clear with each passing year. We see now the DNR is colluding with some border-to-border trail that they want to put through so we can get more people out in the wilderness on ATVs and rock crawlers. Fuck the earth, I guess. We all want to just have fun. I think there's a lot of people who aren't having fun right now. There's a lot of people who are sitting in hospitals right now, or who can't sit in hospitals right now. So they just issued most of the permits that Line 3 needs. They're staging drilling equipment to go under the Mississippi River near Palisades. There are many healthcare professionals who are terrified right now, looking down the barrel of COVID. And we're getting ready to bring thousands of out-of-state, out-of-area workers into northern Minnesota to build a completely unnecessary pipeline. This is negligent homicide, Tim Walz, Laura Bishop, Sarah Stroman. Maybe the AG, maybe Keith Ellison will come to our rescue. Maybe he'll give us a stay for the sake of our very lives. You know, I had plans today to be with some other water protectors, and these times are just too dangerous if we're not doing it very, very, very carefully. And so I'm out here alone today, and it feels very much like how we felt up here in Minnesota. We feel very alone. You know, even a year ago, I would talk to people in the cities about how the pipeline proposes to cut under the Mississippi River, not once but twice, and they're like, really? If you read the comments on the recent news about the permits, people are like, well, I'm sure Enbridge will wait because it's a pandemic. No, they are not waiting. They are staging employees right now in Aiken County, where they plan to bring 800 workers, a 5% increase in the local population, where people are currently struggling to find housing. Where are those people going to stay? Where are those workers going to be? How many poor people are they going to displace from their homes in winter? Because they have money to pay. And the poor people up here in northern Minnesota, we don't have that luxury. We live close to the land up here. We rely on these waters. We rely on the fish from these lakes. We rely on the deer that drink these waters. We rely on the plants that we gather. And we're looking at not only the destruction of our water quality, as the MPCA and DNR and the governor himself, all committed to climate change, just play games, keep kicking the can further down the road, pretending like they're doing something, creating idealistic dream plans of how we're going to correct everything. And meanwhile, we watch the water quality degrade continually in Minnesota. What was it, a year ago? They reported 500,000 Minnesotans are drinking contaminated water because we spend so much time on pretty plans and fancy 4-color paper folders that they can hand out with all their great ideas. And meanwhile, they want to run through an area like this with a tar sands pipeline. They want to run through an area that is so water rich, they have to work during the winter for safety. So the MPCA is very proud that they have new permits that will surely give Enbridge all of the considerations they need to take to make sure that they protect our environment as they rip through our wetlands. So they've protected the environment, and they're sacrificing the people. We live in a place that don't have very many hospitals. We've got 25 beds in Bagley, I think. I don't think there's a single ICU professional that can handle COVID there. So we're supposed to go to Bemidji. A few weeks ago, they were 30% full already. I didn't call to check and see where they're at now, but we're seeing the numbers grow. We're watching the news. North Dakota's nurses actually said today that they're going to refuse to work, even if they are asymptomatic but test positive, which is apparently the plan. because we still don't understand that asymptomatic spread is a real thing. I'm afraid, I've watched these numbers. I'm an engineer, I'm a scientist. I understand exponential growth a little bit. I don't know that humans can actually understand exponential growth. We've watched as it's ravaged the world. We've watched France and Italy and New York City and places all around the country get overwhelmed. Rural areas where one day everything's fine and the next day there aren't enough ambulance drivers to carry the sick and the dead to the hospitals and the morgues. We have friends locally who are really hoping for a big surge in their economy from their store they opened because Enbridge workers are coming through. Well, those workers are going to be here, a month or two? As they do their quick little project in this area. How many pops are you going to sell? How many pizzas are you going to sell? If your mom ends up getting COVID and dying, will it pay for the casket? That's what I want to know. Is that business going to be seen as worth it if you lose your children to this disease? We had a 20-year-old in Clay County today. Yeah, it's mostly old people. It's mostly our people who are over 60, over 70. The older you get, the sicker you are. We've got a lot of people up here who live on a very crap healthcare system. So yeah, our health is already compromised up here in northern Minnesota. We don't have the services that are available in the big cities. Maybe that's why the people in the cities can't comprehend what a risk this is to us. We're begging you. We're begging you for our lives. I've been fighting this project for the river. And I've been talking to people about COVID all year long. And no one really wants to listen. Everyone thinks they're invincible. The U.S. is the teenager of the global world. We think we're invincible still. We're going to be different. But we're showing that we have the worst results worldwide. We're showing that we do not have the treatment plans that are working. It almost seems as if it's purposeful killing of citizens. Purposeful ignorance to the reality of our climate situation. As we continue to pretend we can keep doing what we've always done with fossil fuel development and going out and visiting family. We can't. We have to listen to the planet. She's yelling at us. She's screaming at us. Slow down. Stop. You're killing me. You're killing yourselves. I don't know that we're going to wake up. I know Keith Ellison is suing Big Oil for climate change. Truly wish he would stop, take a moment, consider how many Minnesotans we're going to sacrifice to a tar sands pipeline. How many healthcare workers are we going to lose? Which is just going to exacerbate the problem and create less people to care for our sick. This is a problem that doesn't have a pretty ending. We're in store for, as Tim Walz says, a really hard winter. And I think Tim Walz knows it, which makes it even more terrifying that he is not yet pausing this unnecessary project, as many, many legal cases await resolution. Cases that look more promising every day to win and stop this Line 3. But we're not going to even pause it, as tar sands have nothing to ship, as Enbridge sits with 400,000 spare barrels a day that they're not shipping. Why do they need a new pipeline? We really think we're coming back to this fossil fuel economy that we've lived in for so long? Not if we hope to not suicide all of humanity, or homicide, depending on where you stand and who you are and what you do. We can no longer be complicit in this. And if we don't see a delay of this project, if we see this project allowed to continue in northern Minnesota, it will definitely show us that this is not one Minnesota. Unless it's just one Minnesota that wants to die together. We're begging for our lives up here. Please, pause for the pandemic. Give us a chance. Give us a chance. Yeah, I'm concerned about the environment. I always will be, and I'll keep fighting. But right now, I'm more frightened for my neighbors, for my own doctor, for my own nurse, for my friends in healthcare. I don't know what else we can do. Please, 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 please. Please carry this message. Carry it to the city. Tell them to save us. Please. This is all we have left. This is all we have left to do, is beg for our lives. And hope that someone listens. Hope that someone hears us. I beg you, please, save us.